Well, my name is LaTrenda Belton, and I am a risk reduction specialist here at Harris County Public Health. I work in the HIV prevention team for DCCP.
Awesome, awesome. And how long have you been working in HIV?
Um, in grad school, I started my studies within HIV. I would go to different conferences and speak on the subject and speak on the stigmas associated with HIV. So I've been studying and researching HIV for about now maybe 6 years, but I've only been with Harris County Public Health going on 2 years. So these past 2 years, I've actually been hands on with the testing and the counseling of HIV versus the research part that I was doing before.
Ah, okay. And what attracted you to your current role or the field in general?
For I believe that everybody should have a passion. So what my three main passions were HIV, homeless populations, and pregnant women because I
Mhm.
wanted to be an OBGYN. But
Yeah.
given this opportunity to work with Harris County Public Health in the HIV department, I just felt it was the best fit for me right now because at the time, I just had my first child. So, I got the experience of the pregnant woman from that perspective. But
Yes.
for me, I get to be like more hands on now with the actual HIV population or,
Mhm.
communities that are at higher risk to acquire HIV or any other STD. So when I for this job, I drove 6 hours away from my hometown of Mobile just to come to the interview. So I know it was something that I really want to be a part of, and they seen that. So thank God they hired me.
I know. I'm so glad you're in our department. You're a godsend. Um, what do you think? Why do you think communities of color have greater numbers of HIV?
From when it just comes down to the medical and basic treatment of people of color, I think that we've always been given the short end of the stick, right? So it's like if we have issues who want to be heard, we go to our doctors and our physicians, and they really don't listen to us. In the past, within the Black and Latinx communities, we had issues of where we had medical mistrust within our communities because of like the Tuskegee
Yep.
experiments or different things like that. And so when you have enrooted that mistrust within communities, break that stigma, especially when there has not been any, reparations or any acknowledgments of that type. I think when people actually get to the point and say, hey, we've treated y'all wrong in the past, and there's still some maltrust that's going on in the community. Let's come together, let's fix this. What do y'all need from us in order to trust us with your help? And I think that has a lot to do with it, because if I'm a person and I don't trust my physician or any medical doctor, I'm not going to go seek medical services, right? And so when I do go in for a procedure or for a checkup, it's too late.
Yeah.
You're already in stage 3 or stage 4 of cancer or this disease or this illness, and then by the short end of the stick because you have such limited options then because you've waited too late. So I just think it's one of those conversations that's into where, we really have to get down to the bottom of it, address the racism, address the prejudice, and then just go on from there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, growing up, I had the same fear of doctors as well, so I completely get that. Um, so one question I wanted to ask you, because I've other people haven't asked this or wanted to talk about it, but how does the media, movies and television, have impacted the perception of HIV? And I just want to give like an example that sticks out in my head. It was a Tyler Perry movie with the Janet Jackson, and her husband was on the DL, and she found out she was positive because of him is infidelity. And it seemed like in the movie she was getting a death sentence, if you will. It just seemed like very dramatic. So, what is your take on how that is perceived in the media? Oh, you
I remember,
froze.
let's see, it was outrageous. I think when it comes down to the media, a lot of issues that people have been subjected to or are dealing with. Either it's on the grand scale of things or it's inaccurate, right?
Mhm.
So when it comes down to HIV, everybody who acquires HIV doesn't get it from unprotected sex or being promiscuous or things like that. You can get it from a blood infusion. If you have an open wound and you have exposure to somebody, you can possibly get it. So it's not just all the way dramatic. And by the way that it's being perceived in the media, the most of the examples that I've seen have come from, from the black or people of color, right? I've never really seen a lot of movies where our counterparts have HIV or that's dealing with it. And so
Mhm.
in that instance, it's just projecting
Yeah.
if you're a person of color, you're dirty or you're not being safe about your health, and that's not the issue, right? Because I even think about the subject of sexual assault and all of the movies, they're violent, right? Well, I've known some people who have had sexual assault against them, and all of them having been in violent cases, right? Everybody doesn't go to the police or do this or do that. Everybody copes differently. So when you're thinking about HIV, I just want people to know that it's not really a difference between any other immunodeficiency disease. Like
Mhm.
lupus is an immunodeficiency disease, and
Mhm.
your body attacking you at the end of the day. So when you're thinking about HIV, I don't want people to think of it like it's a death sentence. Maybe back in the 50s and 60s, they looked at it that way because you literally had to take like 10 to 15 pills a day for
I
your regimen just to be feeling okay. And those pills had different side effects. But
yeah.
when you fast forward to the present, most of our patients are on a 1 or 2 pill regimen a day.
Yeah.
And even then, you have people who don't even have, or people who are not even living with HIV,
Right.
taking 5 or 6 or 7 different pills for other elements such as high blood pressure, diabetes. You know what I'm saying? So
Exactly.
HIV is not a death sentence
Yeah.
anymore. If you take your regimen, if you take good care of yourself, have a great diet, exercise, you have the possibility of living a great life. It
Mhm.
doesn't have to be subjected, even if you want children. If you it's transmitted to your partner, if your partner is on PrEP, which is a prescription to, stop you from acquiring HIV by 99% if taken effectively, you still have the opportunity to have kids. So
Yeah.
the community and even the media needs to catch up on the reality and the truth of HIV, because with the stigma around it still to this day, I think it's still of like a taboo topic.
Mhm.
They don't want to talk about it. It's whispered around, but majority of people are water illness, regardless if it's physical.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. Hey, are you is my video lagging on your end? Am I freezing?
A little bit, but not
Okay.
as much anymore.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I was noticing that too. So, let's see. Speaking on that, what are ways to reduce HIV stigma in general?
First, I think it is topic address subject, right? I think when it comes down to sexuality in general, you have a lot of people struggling with a lot of different things within that broad topic of sexuality, because
Yeah.
either you have people that are living, you have some of us who are in our full truth and we're living our best lives. You still have parents who are touchy on the subject of, they don't want their children to know about sexual health until they're 13 or 14. But in reality, children nowadays are having sex at the age of 8 or 9. So around the time when you want to talk to them around 13 or 14, they're already pregnant or they're already a parent. So it's too
Mhm.
late.
Yeah.
And even then, within our media, everything is so sexualized. Everything is so sexualized. So when stigma of just HIV or just in general, first we need to address, however you feel, however you want to express it, it needs to be discussed. And while you discuss it, it needs to be a true listening session. And stigma associated with HIV because, like I said, it's not from, always having unprotected sex or, living a double life or, any group of people who identify in a sexual way. But it's just the fact that what stigmas perpetuate a cycle, and we're trying to break that cycle. And if we're trying to break things like medical mistrust and perpetuating this type of limited mind frame, we just need to openly talk about it and have it up in the air instead of like a secret thing that people know what it is. They
Right.
know it's there. And
Yeah.
I've even ran into clients where they thought that HIV was eradicated because nobody was talking about it. And I told them, I'm still employed because people
Yeah.
are living with HIV, so it's not eradicated. It's just not talked about in the media.
Yeah. Agreed. Yes. Okay. So, in your opinion, what is the difference between Testing 123 and other organizations dealing with HIV in Houston?
When it comes down to us here at Harris County with testing 123, I think what sets us apart is that, you know, we're mobile and we're flexible, right? So when you have our other partners, I think what sets us apart is that first we're mobile, right? So if you cannot come into a clinic anywhere with our community partners or with us, we're able to reach out to you. They're still stuck on the traditional work hours of like maybe 7 to 5 or 7 to 6. When it
Mhm.
comes down to testing 1, 2, 3, we're technically not open 24 hours a day, but if you have an inquiry about something, then either we're scheduling appointments for the next day or the next week, or we're trying to address a situation that has happened. I've had clients that text me at 2 o'clock in the morning and say, hey, I just slept with somebody. I don't know their status. I've possibly been exposed to HIV. What do I do?
Mhm.
When you're thinking about circumstances and situations like that, I can direct them at 2 o'clock in the morning if I'm up and say, hey, go to your local clinic or come to us and get on PEP, right?
Right.
Because you have to take it within 72 hours of an HIV exposure to stop you from acquiring
Mhm.
HIV. So I think with the ability to be mobile to test them in their home, at their job, during their break, at a park, in a store, parking lot, and the ability to really connect with them one on one. I don't know how our community partners do it as far as in linkage to care, but at least 98% of our clients are able to be linked into care within 24 to 48 hours. So that's a quick turnover. And even with that, you can get a benefits counselor. You can get all these services provided to you in a quicker manner because I think when you're talking about different things such as STIs and HIV, people want that instant gratification, right? And a lot of the times when you do go to our community partners, they're already overpacked with all these other type of appointments where we're just solely focused on HIV, STI prep, prevention, and care. So
Mhm.
with that, we don't have to worry about the extras such as the diabetes and high cholesterol and family planning. We're just mainly focused on those three things. And
Right.
so I think with that, we're able to reach out to the client more, get them into services quicker, and be more flexible for them.
Right. Yes. I want to talk a little bit about some upcoming news for our department. We're getting a clinic and super excited. Can you tell our viewers what we will be offering the public?
At our new brick and mortar clinic, it will be named Prevention Services because, first of all, we don't want people in y'all business, okay? So we're not going to have HIV, STI up there. It's going to be Prevention Services. At our clinic, we will be offering our free HIV and syphilis and testing 1, 2, 3 program testing where you can come in, get a HIV and a syphilis test via a finger prick to obtain some blood from your finger, and you can get your results within 10 minutes. You'll get your result sheet and you're out the door in 10 to 15 minutes. We'll also be doing other full panel testing such as chlamydia, herpes, gonorrhea, trichomoniasis, things of that nature.
Mhm.
And if you have any of those, we have the staff available there to treat you with those as well. And then we'll also be offering PrEP and NPEP. So those are the two medications that, if taken effectively, will stop you from acquiring HIV. If you were to have an exposure, or before you even think about, having condomless sex with other people. And so with our clinic, that's what we'll be offering. As of right now, we're still doing the final touches on the clinic, so it will be opening soon. I want to say at least by April we'll be in full motion of the clinic. And
Mhm.
so with that, it's just an opportunity to stop on in and get an instant test and be out the door. If you you're more than welcome to just come on in, and we want to have it in such a way that we protect your privacy, right? So that's even if you're checking in. We don't necessarily want you to have to quote unquote tell us like, I'm here for this test or for that test.
Yeah.
We want to make it in ways to where you want to scan a QR code and you fill out the little survey on your phone, and we know automatically what you're there for without you verbally having to say it in front of other people. So it's just different things like that we're looking forward to in our clinic.
Yes, and we're going to be centrally located off of Antoine in the northwest side of town, I would say.
Yes, the address will be 5815 Antoine Drive, and it'll be in our Harris County Public Health Building. So you can't miss it because it's a big 5815 on the top of the
Right.
building.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Those are all the questions I have for this interview.